Have you ever wondered if you're unknowingly pushing people away as you get older? What if some habits you've picked up without even realizing it are making you seem less approachable, less engaging, or even difficult to be around? Aging brings wisdom, experience, and perspective, but let's be honest, sometimes it also brings behaviors that can work against us. Many seniors, when they take a step back and reflect, notice subtle changes in how they interact with others. They find themselves stuck in habits that affect their relationships, social life, and even the way they see themselves. The tricky part? These behaviors often creep in so slowly that you don't even notice them, but those around you do. In today's video, we'll uncover 6 common unattractive behaviors that people tend to develop as they age without even realizing it. These insights come straight from seniors who've been there, learned the hard way, and made changes for the better. If you want to avoid these pitfalls and stay socially vibrant, confident, and connected, stick around, because this might just change the way you see yourself. 1. Complaining too much. It's natural to vent about life's frustrations, aches and pains, rising prices, or how things just aren't the way they used to be. But have you ever noticed how complaining can become a habit? What starts as a few innocent remarks about your stiff joints or noisy neighbors can quickly snowball into a constant stream of negativity. And the problem is, people around you start to feel it. Complaining too much doesn't just make you feel worse. It also makes others hesitant to engage in conversation, fearing every chat will turn into a list of grievances. Take Mr. Johnson, for example. A retired teacher in his late 70s, he loved having his grandkids visit. But over time, he noticed they stopped coming around as often. One day, his daughter finally told him the truth. "Dad, we love you, but every time we visit, you only talk about your back pain, the bad weather, or how everything was better back in your day. It's exhausting." That moment hit him hard. He hadn't realized how much his constant complaints were draining the energy from those around him. So, how do you break the cycle? It all comes down to perspective and gratitude. Life isn't always easy, especially as we age, but focusing on the positives can shift your entire outlook. Instead of complaining about aches and pains, acknowledge them, but also talk about the things that bring you joy. When tempted to rant about the state of the world, try sharing something uplifting instead. Mr. Johnson took this advice to heart. He started keeping a simple gratitude journal, jotting down 3 things he was thankful for every day. Within weeks, his conversations became more positive, and his family noticed the change. His grandkids were excited to visit again, and most importantly, he felt happier too. The bottom line, everyone appreciates honesty, but there's a big difference between venting occasionally and constantly focusing on the negative. If you want to maintain strong, joyful relationships as you age, make gratitude your daily habit, not complaint. 2. Becoming too rigid in your ways. Change is inevitable, but as we get older, it becomes easier to resist it. Many seniors find comfort in routines, familiar habits, and the belief that the old ways were better. But clinging too tightly to the past, whether it's refusing to use new technology, dismissing modern trends, or rejecting different ways of thinking, can make you seem outdated, disconnected, and even unapproachable. Younger generations may struggle to relate to you, and before you know it, you might find yourself isolated, wondering why people aren't as eager to engage with you. Take Mrs. Helen, for example. In her early 70s, she proudly avoided smartphones, online banking, and anything too modern. She scoffed at social media, refused to try new foods, and stuck to the same routines she had for decades. But over time, she realized something. Her grandkids stopped calling as often, Conversations at family gatherings felt distant, and she was missing out on so many conveniences that could have made her life easier. One day, after struggling to book a doctor's appointment over the phone while her friend did it instantly through an app, she had an epiphany. Maybe learning new things wasn't about abandoning the past, but about staying engaged with the present. So, she made a choice to embrace curiosity instead of resisting change. She asked her grandson to teach her how to use a tablet, learned how to text, and even joined an online book club. The result? She didn't just reconnect with her family. She discovered new passions, made new friends, and felt more in tune with the world around her. Instead of feeling left behind, she felt empowered. The key to aging gracefully isn't holding on to the past. It's staying open to what's new. You don't have to love every modern trend, but a willingness to learn, adapt, and explore keeps your mind sharp and your relationships strong. So the next time you find yourself dismissing something just because it's different, ask yourself, what if this change could bring something positive into my life? You might be surprised at what happens when you say yes to new experience. 3. Talking more, listening less. As we age, we accumulate a lifetime of experiences, stories, and lessons. Naturally, we want to share them, especially with younger generations. But here's where many older adults unknowingly make a mistake. They dominate conversations, reminiscing about the past while unintentionally tuning out what others have to say. What starts as storytelling can quickly turn into a one-sided conversation, leaving others feeling unheard and disconnected. Younger people often express this frustration. I love my grandpa, but every time we talk, he just tells the same stories over and over. He never asks about my life. This is a common issue. Many seniors focus so much on sharing wisdom that they forget to listen. Really listen to what's happening in their loved ones' lives. Over time, this can push people away, making them less eager to engage in conversations. So how do you fix this? The key is active listening. Next time you're in a conversation, make a conscious effort to ask questions and truly listen to the response without immediately shifting the focus back to yourself. Try using phrases like, "Tell me more about that," or "How did that make you feel?" If you catch yourself interrupting or steering the conversation back to your own experiences, pause and redirect your attention. Meaningful connections aren't built on how much we talk. They're built on how well we listen. By showing genuine interest in others, you create deeper relationships and ensure that conversations are a two-way street. And the best part? When you truly listen, people will naturally want to hear what you have to say too. 4. Neglecting personal appearance. As we get older, it's easy to start thinking, why bother? Maybe you're not going to work every day. You don't have as many social events, or you just don't see the point in keeping up with fashion and grooming like you used to. But here's the truth. How you present yourself affects both your self-esteem and how others perceive you. When you stop putting effort into your appearance, you may start feeling less confident, and that energy can push people away without you even realizing it. Take Mr. Raymond, for example. In his younger years, he took pride in dressing well, keeping his hair neat and wearing cologne. But after retirement, he slowly let things slide. He stopped shaving regularly, wore the same worn-out clothes every day, and didn't bother with his hair. At first, he thought it didn't matter, until he noticed something. People treated him differently. His family stopped complimenting him. His friends didn't invite him out as often, and even he started feeling sluggish and unmotivated. One day, an old friend casually mentioned, "Ray, you used to have such great style. What happened? That was the wake-up call he needed. So, he made small changes. Not for others, but for himself. He got a fresh haircut, updated his wardrobe with a few simple but stylish pieces, and made sure to shave and groom himself regularly. The difference? He felt revitalized. People noticed his energy shift, and most importantly, he noticed it too. He carried himself with more confidence, and suddenly, social interactions felt easier and more enjoyable. Taking care of your appearance doesn't mean dressing like a movie star. It's about self-respect and effort. A clean, well-groomed look can lift your mood and change the way people respond to you. Simple habits, like keeping your hair neat, wearing clean, well-fitting clothes, and maintaining good hygiene, can make a world of difference. When you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you attract positivity. 5. Being overly critical of younger generations. As we age, it's natural to compare the past with the present. You might find yourself shaking your head at younger generations, at their music, their fashion choices, their work ethic, or even how they communicate. Maybe you've caught yourself saying things like, "Back in my day we had real values," or "Kids today have it too easy." While these thoughts may come from a place of experience, constant judgment can create an invisible wall between you and the younger people in your life. Many younger people feel that older relatives don't respect their choices or way of life. They may start avoiding conversations because they fear being criticized rather than heard. There's a big difference between offering wisdom and sounding dismissive, and that difference often comes down to tone and approach. Instead of saying, "Your generation doesn't know how to work hard," try something like, "I've noticed jobs are really different now. What's it like in your field?" This shifts the conversation from criticism to curiosity, opening the door for mutual understanding. A great example is Mrs. Joan, a retired teacher who used to complain that her grandchildren were always glued to their phones. At first she'd scold them, saying, "You kids don't even know how to talk to people anymore." But one day, she took a different approach. Instead of criticizing, she asked her grandson to show her what he was doing on his phone. To her surprise, he was editing a video he had made for a school project. That moment changed everything. She realized technology wasn't the enemy. It was just different. By showing interest instead of judgment, she strengthened her bond with her family instead of pushing them away. The best way to bridge the gap between generations is through encouragement rather than criticism. Share your wisdom, but do it with an open mind. Instead of shutting down new ideas, ask questions. Instead of lecturing, offer guidance. When younger people feel respected rather than judged, they'll naturally seek your advice, and those relationships will grow stronger. 6. Isolating yourself and avoiding social interactions. As we get older, it's easy to start pulling away from social activities. Maybe friends have moved away, family members are busy, or you just don't feel like making the effort to go out. Over time, this isolation can make you seem distant and unapproachable, even if you don't mean for it to happen. The problem is, the longer you stay withdrawn, the harder it becomes to reconnect. And before you know it, loneliness creeps in. Take Mr. Harold, for example. After his wife passed away and his close friends started having health issues, he found himself spending more and more time alone. At first he enjoyed the peace and quiet, but eventually he realized that days were turning into weeks without a real conversation. His phone rarely rang, and invitations stopped coming. One day, his daughter said, "Dad, people think you don't want to be bothered." That hit him hard. He wasn't avoiding people on purpose, but he had unknowingly given off the impression that he didn't want company. So Harold made a change. He started saying yes more. Yes to meeting an old friend for coffee. Yes to attending a community event. And yes to simply calling someone to check in. The more he reached out, the more he realized people still cared. They were just waiting for a sign that he did too, and slowly but surely, he felt alive again. If you found yourself avoiding social situations, try taking small steps to reconnect. Call an old friend, join a local group, or simply go for a walk in a familiar place where you might run into someone you know. Social interaction is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Staying connected doesn't just improve your relationships. It keeps your mind sharp, lifts your mood, and reminds you that you're never truly alone. Conclusion: aging is a journey, and while we all change over time, being aware of these small, unattractive behaviors can help us stay connected, respected, and full of life. The good news? It's never too late to adjust, grow, and make a positive impact on those around you. Now, I want to hear from you. If you think you're doing a great job avoiding these behaviors, comment 9 below. But if you feel like you might need to work on a few of them, comment 0. Let's see how many of us are staying self-aware. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more wisdom on aging gracefully. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.